Hey, what's up? Dillio coming to you gang. Shout out to the Dilly gang. Welcome to the Dillio TTK YouTube channel. And in this video, we're going to break down 5 things that you want to understand when you're transitioning from Maschine to the MPC. And if you're a Maschine user or if you're an MPC user, transitions to Maschine, then basically it's the reverse. But we're going to talk about transitioning from Maschine to the MPC. As you can see, I got Maschine on one screen right here where you can see it, and we got the MPC on the other screen right there. And what we're going to do is just talk about things that you want to keep in mind as you transition into that. So make sure you hit that subscribe button, all that good stuff. Hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, hit that subscribe button, and we're going to get into this thing. Touch! All right. So one of the first things that we're going to look at is the groups. This is one of the most, this is like probably one of the first things that really confused me about groups, and pretty much the groups is pretty much the foundation for a sequence in the track. So the difference in the groups, and we're going to talk about these things. I'm just going to give you a quick run through. We're going to talk about groups, file browsing, VST plugins. We're going to talk about VST plugins. We're going to talk about song arrangement. We're going to talk about sound arranging. We're going to talk about exporting. So this is going to be a very interesting video. We're going to start off with the Maschine, and then we're going to talk about how the MPC is different. Okay, I've used both for enough time to have a good understanding about both of those, and that's it. So first things first, let's talk about groups. So groups, as you can see on the Maschine, you got groups going from A to H on your controller. And you got 16 sounds in each group. If you need another group, just tap the button, you get another group, and so forth. So the thing is, on the MPC, a group is the same thing, is called a program. Okay, I'll explain. So you got groups here. You got 16 pads for that group. You can put a sound in that group, in that pad. You can put an effect into that pad, or you can put an instrument into that pad. But on the MPC, there are no groups in the same way that Maschine does it. On the MPC, we have programs, and programs are just for samples only. Just for samples only. If you want to use a plugin, then you make that track well, let me back up. So in the Akai, the MPC, you have programs, and those programs goes up to 64 pads. You got pages. You got pages A through H, okay, in one program. Now, if I want to have 64 different sounds of a drum kit in different groups that way, then on Maschine, you got to go from group A to group H. But again, that's not representative of a track. In the MPC, a track can have up to 64 samples in it. On the Maschine, a group has 16 pads on it, but you can have 16, you have as many groups as you can. So it's a little bit different. So for a very basic terminology from transiting from Maschine to MPC, a group of 16 pads, in a very basic definition of it, a group of 16 pads is the same as a program, which starts at 16 pads but can go up to 64 pads. And in Maschine, the group is its own thing. It's almost like a track, but they don't call it a track on there. But you could call it a track. In the MPC, the program sits on a track. In the MPC world, you actually work with tracks, okay? In the Maschine world, your groups have different sounds in them, but they're groups working together, not really called tracks. So it's a very different hierarchy there, structure. So just from the basics, when you're trying to build up your own drum kits, like how I got here, I got a kick, snare, hat. That's inside of a program, and that program can have up to 64 samples. On Maschine, I got a kick, hat, right? On one group, 16 pads only. If I want more than 16 pads of sounds, I got to create another group. Or if I'm in the MPC, I can go all the way up to page H. And it's very similar because you can go up to page H, you can go up to H on the machine, but it's not the same thing. It's not the same thing. And I know this can be a little confusing because they're both using letters A through H. They're both using letters A through H. But on the MPC side, you can make a very big drum kit. And I think, and even this is a tangent, we're not going to go too far in it, but even there in the tangent, on Ableton, I think you can get up to 128 notes. 128 samples in their drum kits. So it gets pretty crazy. So that's the difference between groups. So if you want to build your drum kit, don't think of it as a group like you have to do in a machine. You create a program. All right. That's very important to keep in mind. And that is the first thing you want to know about transitioning from the machine to the MPC. Okay. All right. The next thing we want to talk about is file browsing. Obviously, it's on the left. You got your expansions over here. On the MPC world, you go to your expansions tab. You see I got the expansions right here on the right. Basically, it's left and right. On machine, if I want to hear a sound, I can browse to it. I can go to a file, click it, sample it like that. And I think there's a setting that if you click it, it will go automatically go to the sound. I don't like that. You could turn on preview there, and it looks like there's a loop function right there. On the MPC, I can browse sounds like that. I can control the volume right there. You can make it play automatically. You can tell it not to preview with that speaker right there. Notice that we have a speaker here on machine as well. You can change your volume. Obviously, that's an automatic playback right there. Back to MPC, we see that we have that same thing. Now, this little symbol means warp right here. So this will automatically play the sample warped to the tempo of the sequence. If you got playing, there's a looping function there. We see a little looping function there. If you go to machine, we see that there. Obviously, all I gotta do is click and drag in, click and drag in. That's pretty much easy right there. Okay, pretty much easy, no sweat. All right. Well, I didn't show y'all that because like I said, I got two monitors going right now. But if you want to make that sample loop, you just click that little logo right there. You in there. So that's a lot. That's a lot of different things to think about when you're transitioning from machine to MPC. Different terminologies, the different ways that the software is set up for you to compose, create, and browse sounds, right? Let's talk about VST plugins. So in machine, if I want to bring in a plugin, I can go, what I typically do is open up a group, then I'll hit the plus sound, and boom, all my plugins are right there. Ta-da. I actually like browsing like this, a little easier. I actually prefer browsing like this. And then if I want to open up a plugin that I like to use from Native Instruments, Massive, y'all know I use that. You know, I made presets for that. Boom, I got Massive right there. Double click into there. And then an abbreviated version of that plugin opens up, hit that pencil button, and now we're editing plugin there. All right. Now let's go to MPC. All right, we're in MPC software. If I want to open up a plugin, I open a new track. A new track, not a new group, a new track. Hit the plugin icon, hit the plus button there. Oh, actually, nope. Make sure I select in plugin 1. You can rename that. A little bit more complicated. Still possible. VST plugins, Native Instruments, Massive, boom. And then you got to hit this window to open it up to see it. And then next thing you know, you got your plugin right there. This plugin sits solely by itself on track 2. In machine, this plugin solely sits on group 1, but if I wanted to add another plugin, I can do it. But which track is it on? Well, it's on group 2. It's on group B. So I can have 16 plugins on here. But the problem is what if I got the beat rolling and I want to mute a plugin? Well, If you do all your plugins on one group, now you have to select that group and then select that pad to mute on its own. What I typically do when I worked in Maschine was I had multiple groups open, and I would have a dedicated plugin to each group right there, and I would let my drums sit on group A. And if I needed more drums, I'll open up another group and work that way. So I'll have a group of 16 sounds here. If I needed another 16 sounds there, open up another group, have them work together. Okay. Then my massive plugin will be on group C. And I didn't use a bunch of other plugins here. I let it be by itself, because when I want to group or scene build, if I want a scene build, and this is scene 1, and now we're getting into arranging already, which I wasn't trying to get into yet. But now I'm thinking about, okay, so that's scene 1. So I want all these pattern 1s going on scene 1. Scene 2, I want pattern 3, this, that. Okay. And then you have to go back here, and I don't know if I'm going to make it all the way through there today, because I was just talking about the VST plugins right now, because it like I said, I'm double thinking. So that's on the Maschine side. So when you transition over to the MPC side, you only have as many tracks as you open. I only got 2 tracks. I got one track where the drums is hitting at. Track 1's got that program. If I hit track 2, I got that plugin. You can name that plugin. And if I want to edit that plugin, browse it, you're there. If I go to Maschine, I got group 1 with my kit of 16 sounds. Group B is where my plugin's resting at. Where did my plugin go? Oh, there it is. Let me put that right by it. There we go. And then I can add sounds, loops, all in that group. Not necessarily on a track. But here's the interesting thing about it. If you're producing in groups, how do you know what track is on where outside of knowing what group it's on? So if I'm going to export, which I'm going to talk about later on in this video, exporting is a whole nother deal. But that's the plugins aspect. It's very easy for me to go off into a tangent because of how complicated both of these platforms are. But we're just talking about dealing with a plugin, one plugin. So long story short, in Maschine, you can have as many plugins as you want in a group, or you can have one plugin in each group, which is how I like to do it. Or on the MPC side, you can put a plugin on one track, and that's it. That's it. And then you can then select another channel, and nothing's on that channel. That channel could be a group, actually a program, a key group, a plugin, a MIDI channel, a clip, or CV. But we're not even going into that far. We're not even going that far. Because I just want to talk about 5 different basic things. In this video, I already feel like this video is going long. Okay. Song arrangement. Yes, song arrangement. So let's dive into that. So I know I'm on the Maschine screen. Okay. I already got one scene. Let me delete this scene here and delete. Boom. Okay. So I know in scene 1, typically if I remember within the Maschine, the scene is as long as the longest pattern in it. So if I had a 32 bar pattern on scene 1, scene is that long. And I think you can control that. So if I want to add a scene, select scene 1. Boom. I know that I got pattern 1 on group A, group B, group C, pattern 1, right? Okay. Now I go back to this scene arranger. So you got 2 different things. You got kind of like this linear horizontal action going on. This is how I remember working with songs. But you have this kind of like this pattern layer, which kind of reminds me of Ableton. So that's scene 1. So in scene 2, I want pattern 3 off of group A. I don't want anything from group B. Like, give me pattern 2, give me pattern 1, give me pattern 1. All right. And let's add that scene. Right click, insert, scene 2. And there's shortcuts on the controller to go there faster. All right. And if I want that scene to loop, I could just click right on that level right there, and I can loop that scene too as long as I need it to till I'm done. And the arranger even goes deeper than that, but that's how that works. Okay, so we can call scene 1 the verse in Maschine, and we can call it, and I know this is a length, I'm just review, so roll with me with the view. All right, so we got 2 different scenes. These are our scenes. We got a verse. Ooh, I spelled that wrong. I know somebody's gonna call that out in the video. And then we got hook. Touch! We got the hook right there. Okay, let's do this again in the MPC software. Okay. So in the MPC software, you don't have scenes, you have sequences. Sequence number 1, let's say that's, and you can do this on screen, but right here, I want sequence number 1 to be 8 bars long. Great. So how do we make a scene number 2? Well, we can select scene number 2, which is unused. And now we have scene number 2, which is back at 8 bars, but we can click and drag that up with the up and down arrow and punch it in, or use your controller, but I'm on a computer so you can see both quickly. Now I'm at 8 bars there. All right, so how do we get these 2 to work together? Because we know on Maschine, if we hit play and we got everything highlighted how it's supposed to be, we got everything highlighted how it's supposed to be, we're going to play from verse to hook, right? So on the MPC side, I got 2 sequences. So if I go to sequence 1, we're going to call that verse. All right, and let's go to scene 2. We're going to call that hook. All right, so I got 2 scenes. We have a list of all our sequences right here. This is a list of all our sequences right here. On the Maschine side, all our sequences or scenes are listed right here. So if you want to know where your scenes are at on the MPC, they're right here. You got a list right there. This, I don't even want that. I want that cleared out. There's probably a way for me to clear it out, but I don't need that there. I put that in there by accident. So how do we link these things together? Well, that's where we create song mode. Okay? Let's put it this way. This being highlighted, you highlighting all these measures and highlight that highlight gray area. That's how you select how long your quote song is in Maschine. Let me go back to Maschine so you can see it. This is how long you determine your song is in Maschine. But if I go to the MPC software, how do I figure out where my song is? Well, I'm glad you asked. We go to song arranger mode. Very easy, very simple. I hit menu, and then I go to song mode. Okay. And now what you see is those sequences there. We got verse here, hook here. And then this sequence right here is basically that empty playlist that was in Maschine. So if I want a verse, I can probably just select that by hitting record on the controller. I hit the verse pad, then I hit the hook pad, then hit record. And as you can see, we got that first scene or sequence right there, scene Maschine, sequence MPC with 1 repeat. You can tell it how many times you want to repeat that one scene there. If I want to keep going, hit record again, hook, verse, hook, verse, hook, verse, hook, 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 verse. And even it calculates that 3 times I hit hook, so it's going to repeat it 3 times. Hit record to come out of that. And now you got your full song right there. To do that on the MPC, on the Maschine side, I got the hook. Let's go, I think it is scene. There we go. Scene, and then you go to the next one, position 3. I want that there. Okay. And that's on it, and then you can keep going there. Like I said, there's a shortcut. I don't remember the shortcut for the Maschine because it's been a while. There's a shortcut to add scenes. Boom, 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 boom. And you can cover those scenes. You can't color scenes on the MPC. Okay, I know that's kind of a long tangent, but that's how that works. Like I said, I knew this video was going to be long, but I could just keep talking about that. That's song arrangement, basic song arrangement. Okay, the final thing from transitioning from machine to MPC. All right. So if I go to File, Export Audio, I have a few options here. I can select where I want it to export to. I can name that file, and I can split by section. I can change it from the master, each group, or each sound that is inside the groups. This is how you export a multi-track to a DAW. All right, let's leave that right there. To export on the MPC, File, Export, Audio Mixdown. Here are some options here. You can export the master. Remember, we got master output right there. Or you can separate programs. This is like separating groups. Or you can explode all the tracks if you got tracks that are exploded. Very similar on a machine. Okay. But wait, how you export all those separate sounds? Because you can export separate sounds on machine. Well, I'm glad you asked. Because it does take one more step to do that, to get those. So let's go back to that drum program. Different language for different platforms. Go to that drum program. And what I'm going to do is explode to tracks. That's a function. Explode. Now we got multiple tracks that represent different things. And those exploded tracks is how we export file, export, audio mixdown. And then we can explode tracks there. Now we got our explode tracks option, which is the same as export by sounds. Different file types you can do on machine. You got WAV, IFF. You got WAV, you got AFF. On MPC, we got WAV, we got AFFF, we got MP3, FLOC, and OGG. You got different sample settings right there. Obviously on the machine side, you can do that. You got AFF, you can change you can go up to 192 hertz. You can get up to a 32-bit float point. Over here on the MPC side, you can get up to 96 hertz. Can't do 192. You get up to 96. Get up to a 32-bit floating point if you want to. IFF, MP3, FLOC, OGG, MP3. How about that? One thing you'll learn from transitioning from exporting from machine to MPC is the ability to export MP3. You will not be able to do that here unless something else came out after I made this video. Won't be able to do it. Look at this right here. We got MP3. So if you want to send this beat you made to a friend without having to do any extra conversion, it'll fit on one Gmail email. You're in there. On the machine side, you're going to have to follow a few more extra steps to get that file converted to a file format that will fit underneath the 25 megabyte file size limit that Gmail gives you when you're sending files. So those are 5 things to look at when you're transitioning from machine to MPC, from machine to MPC, and it's vice versa, going from MPC to machine. So I hope y'all like that type of content. Make sure you hit the like button, subscribe button. Let me know what y'all think about that. And I will see y'all in the next video. And before I go, I'm out.